Hi everyone, today I will be explaining 3 objectives on photosynthesis. I will begin by explaining the general equation for photosynthesis. Before we dive any deeper into the actual equation, we need to know what a reactant and product are, or more specifically, where they go in the actual equation. But first, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is when a plant uses the energy from the sun. So here's the sun right here, and here's like a flower, right? The ground uses the energy that's coming from the sun and converts this into, so we have sun energy here, or thermal, and it's going to convert it to chemical energy. And so what that means is the plant's going to use this chemical energy and put together, in most cases, oxygen, and it's going to release a waste product. Yeah, that's what it is. Oxygen is the waste product. So what we breathe out, so here's a little human guy right here. He's not shouting, he's breathing out something called carbon dioxide, or CO2. This plant loves it. He's going to take it in and breathe it in. And when this reaction happens, he's going to go ahead and let out something called oxygen. And he's going to come back here as a human, and he's going to breathe it in. This guy's going to breathe it in, and he's going to use it in his body. That's for another lesson. And when he exhales, it's going to be carbon dioxide. It's going to keep going this big circle and go to big circle as long as the sun exists, as long as we exist, or any animals on the planet that do exhale carbon dioxide. So that's the basic understanding of photosynthesis. Now let's explain what the actual equation is for photosynthesis. Before we get into that, we need to know what a product is and a reactant is. So let's begin by erasing this and explaining what side does a product go on, what side does the reactant go on, what is the arrow that you see in that equation. So I'm just going to write something random here, just a line, then I'm going to draw this arrow to another line. So on this side is where your reactants go, reactants, and this side is where your products go. Yeah, not that. And this little arrow here means yields. So when you put something here, it's going to yield something over here. So let's say, for example, diatomic hydrogen and diatomic oxygen are going to yield water, or dihydrogen monoxide. And this is more chemistry. This is not what we're looking at right now. We're looking at the equation for photosynthesis. So now that we learned those basics, let's get into the actual equation. So the equation for photosynthesis, it's going to be 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O yields glucose, or C6, H12O6 plus 6 oxygen molecules. Now what this yield is, it's actually light, and this is a light reaction, and we're going to explain this right now. So over here you have carbon dioxide, you have your water. Of course, plants need water to survive, and we humans breathe out this carbon dioxide. And when a plant has light from the sun, it's going to yield this glucose here. This is glucose. Not only plants have it, humans have it as well. And also it's going to yield this 6 molecules of diatomic oxygen, which is what we breathe in. And as long as we breathe out this carbon dioxide, And as long as there's water in the earth, which most likely there will be water for a very long time, this is water, then this process will keep going forever and ever. And this is supposed to be an arrow, and this is the entire reaction equation. So let's go more in depth into what a light reaction is and why it yields glucose and why it yields oxygen. So this equation, you're going to need to memorize it for the AP exam. Probably not, but if you recognize that it yields glucose and oxygen, or if you just see a reaction with water and carbon dioxide, not combustion at all, because combustion goes on the other side, first of all. And just know that if you see any equation in biology, it's most likely this equation, the photosynthesis equation. So let's go into the next part. Alright, so now that we know the chemical reaction and entire equation of photosynthesis, we're going to learn about leaves. So we know that plants release carbon dioxide when we give them oxygen. So we're going to learn about the actual structures of the leaves themselves. So I'm going to try my best to draw a picture of a leaf. So what you're used to seeing is something like this on plants. Yeah. I guess my best attempt at a leaf. And usually you'll see something coming down the middle. You'll see these ridges. We're going to explain what these are, and we're going to explain what their function is. So this is a leaf. So imagine it's green. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's just make it green. So I'm going to explain while I erase this. So leaves are very important, especially in photosynthesis, because they are what allows the plant to actually get the energy or even capture some water and allow it to convert the light energy in a light reaction. So let's explain the parts, starting off with the actual blade itself. This is a blade, the leaf blade. This is a stem of the leaf. And within all of this leaf are something called microdribs. Not microdribs, midribs. And within these are things called stomata. Not to be confused with stroma. Don't confuse this with stroma. They're two different things. So let's explain what features this leaf has. So let's go more in detail with the stomata. First, let's speak about this. Let's explain what it is. So what the stomata is, they're tiny holes on the leaf, right? So there are a bunch of these little holes here. Imagine this is a zoomed in picture of a leaf. And this is the stomata. Okay, the stomata allows carbon dioxide, so CO2, to diffuse into the leaf. So when you exhale, it doesn't go to the stem of the plant, it goes to the leaves, to the stomata. So this carbon dioxide is going to be used in the process of photosynthesis. That's great. Now some features about the leaf itself. Let's go ahead and draw another one over here. The features are it's very thin, and it's good that it's thin because it's a short distance for the carbon dioxide to actually diffuse into the leaf cells. So this leaf is thin, we know that. It has a large surface area, so the surface area is actually quite large compared to the plant stem. And the reason it's large is because it allows it to absorb lots more light, and that's what we need, light. Okay, without this carbon dioxide and light, we're not going to get the reaction we want. Okay, also the plant has something called, well, the leaves have something called chlorophyll. I'm sure you've heard of this before in class. And what chlorophyll is, it just helps absorb this sunlight a lot better and transfer this energy into chemicals. So this chlorophyll helps with chemical transfers. Right, and there's one more thing that we need to know about throughout this leaf here. The final thing is that there's a network of veins. Network of veins. This is important because this network, it helps support the leaf and transport water and carbohydrates. And just know that carbohydrates are the food of plants. They love carbs, right? Okay, now we're going to actually move on and look within the leaf and look at a specific mechanism inside of the leaf called the chloroplast. And we're going to explain the structure of it, and we're going to learn about the light and dark reactions that occur within the chloroplast. So I'm going to begin by actually drawing out a chloroplast diagram here. I'm going to try my best to draw it out. So it looks something like this, like a big blob. And you have this, well, it's actually like there's a wall around it. And we're going to get to all these names. Don't worry. Oh, it's really bad. We're going to get to all these names. So, you know what? Let's just delete that wall. Just know that this is the chloroplast. So we have something over here on one side. There's a reaction coming on over here, or a cycle occurring. We're going to get to the name of the cycle. And you're going to see these little things, these little platelets. They're actually called, they're not called platelets. They're called thylakoids. They look like this. I'm going to spell this out. So we're going to see something like this in a test. You know that automatically this is chloroplast. So let's explain the two reactions. Now, the one that happens on the left here with these little platelets, these little thylakoids, let's spell this out here. These are thylakoids. This is actually the light reaction. Okay? This is where the light reaction occurs, and this is where the dark reaction occurs. But there's also another name for this dark reaction. We sometimes call it the Calvin cycle. So that's spelled like that. And this is where dark reactions occur. So let's just go through this real quick. So you have water coming in through here, H2O, and coming out as O2, or diatomic oxygen. And then when we breathe out, remember, human beings are breathing in the oxygen that plants give us, and we breathe out this carbon dioxide. The dark reactions work with the carbon dioxide, and they let out something called carbohydrates. And we discussed this in the last little lesson, that carbohydrates are the food source for plants. Alright, so these reactions are very important because dark reactions make carbs, light reactions release the diatomic oxygen that we breathe in. So it was great having y'all listen and paying attention, hopefully, to this video. Thank you to Mrs. King for letting this extra credit go towards our grade. And hope you all watch more videos if I do make them in the future. Thanks for watching, guys.